This is Excalibur Heavy Battlecruiser, and since my laptop's fans were not properly repaired, I had to send it to the repair shop again. And it took several days for it to be fixed once more, but eventually I got it back. And now we can explore the wonders of Nova Drift once again. And what build is more wonderful than one that involves time manipulation? Or as I like to call it in a less scientific and more goofy aesthetic, I call this the Jello build. Okay, so far the enemies are not very dangerous, but that's pretty much what you should expect from the initial waves. Now here comes a shield that I've probably never used before. Gotta say, I really like the colors of this one. It's a good purple. It's got a good shade of purple, and it is actually a different shade of purple compared to Warp, which had a lot more red in it than blue, if I recall correctly. It was a lot more like magenta than violet. Also, Temporal is known for slowing down bullets and enemy projectiles and the enemies themselves. So I could, in theory, freeze this guy for a good enough time that his lunge isn't that difficult to dodge. Normally, his lunge is rather difficult to avoid. This time, however, it's not that challenging. Since I have the thermal lance, I can just crowd control the enemies around. This thing is not exactly the best crowd control weapon, but it's good enough. And I have him stun locked there, and there you go. You have Fried Beetle. Now that we have 5 upgrade points, well, let's go back up to 5 because I accidentally forgot to pick up at the Architect body. And since I picked up Architect, you may have a hint of what kind of build I'm going for. And yes, this does involve charged shields because I'm using thermal lance. That was some clean dodging there. Next up, I'm gonna take Magnitude. This will increase my firepower by a decent margin. Although I don't really like the looks of this wave. Can just weave past them. Next up we have a constructor and a bunch of swarmlings. Pretty easy stuff. Next up, I'll definitely want to take shield effect radius. Because now not only is my Jello larger in size, it also is more potent. Next up, we'll take Atraxia, of course, because why not? Atraxia really benefits Architect especially. Next up, we'll take Stabilization, just because I just love power reserves. Next up, we'll then take Rapid Fire, and lastly, we'll also take Revelation, because Evo Niche would be really nice with this. One bummer is that Recursor is playing a bit too early on in the game. I expected this to show up in later waves, like past wave 150 perhaps. Well, we have a bunch of different interesting options like Radiant Shield and Burst Fire. And between the two, I'm gonna go Radiant, just because it makes the Jello size much larger. I definitely appreciate the extra radius. Next up, we'll take Strafe, because extra mobility is also really nice. Fortunately, this hive is really easy to cut down. Next up, it's either focus shields or payload. And between the two, I'm this time gonna focus on payload. And now we have Charge Shot. One of the prerequisites for Charge Shield. Throws them long enough to destroy them pretty quickly. Next up, we'll take Weaponized Shield, because this will increase the DPS of my lance if I'm close enough. It's always satisfying to poke out his eyes. Well, there goes all of his gun pods, aka eyes. And soon the boss in general just follows and gets folded. Yeah, that is the power of Temporal Shield. It can even freeze up bolt thrower bolts enough that you can actually dodge them realistically. Normally, you need to have some really good reflexes to dodge bolt thrower bolts. And yes, I did take Deadly Wake and Improved Thrusters, just because Tempest Break is also really nice. Well, let's take Focus Shield. And now I can access Charge Shield. That is a really slow volley. Okay, that actually kind of backfired on me. Sometimes slower bullets are actually a disadvantage. Next up, I'm probably gonna take Burst Fire, just to make my Charged Shield's effect more powerful as well. Also, look at that. I can actually dodge the Tracer bullets as well. These are also among the bullets that normally you need absurdly good reflexes to dodge. Well, let's take Warpath, because that also contributes further to my Charged Shield's endeavor. Nice, got a reroll from that. And look at that, I have a pretty hefty lance over here. Granted, this is because I got a freaking hyper boost. But even so, it's impressive to see a lance that is still this big, even without the hyper boost. There goes those hammerheads. Next up, we have flash shielding, and yep, we're gonna fight a big old crab. Apparently, the game likes to have me fry some arthropods. It's also kind of ironic that so far, all of the bosses have been the alternative ones, or the ones that are added in 2021 or after 2021. Or maybe even 2022. It has been a while since I played my computer games. Oh yeah, I don't like this. I gotta neo-dodge these guys. Also, I kinda made the incorrect play to just go after the main guy himself, even though it's pretty obvious that you should be targeting his minions. Oh, let me freeze him for a good while. Never mind, I got distracted by a big old cargo train. Well, let's see. I'm probably gonna take regeneration, just to make myself less vulnerable when I don't have my shield. Which, spoiler alert, I will. I will be stripped away of my shield. Because this isn't just any charged shields build. This is one that involves turret. Which really does explain why I took Architect. So far, these guys are kind of annoying. But not extremely dangerous. I'm just gonna kite them around and pick them off until they're all gone, along with their master. Not really sure why the game is throwing some mere pulse bugs at me. Okay, I need to freeze this Celestial before it can do more carnage. With that done, I can now pick up Tempest Break. And now my shield should come back faster and my Jello is more potent. Not really a fan of these upgrades. However, now we shall move on to turret. And with the singular upgrade, the dynamic of this game is now gonna shift irreversibly. This is the beginning of the end of my days as the main player of this build. It's not gonna be too long before it's all gonna come down to the turret. As much as I like War Machine, I obviously need to go for charged shields. The Jello is larger and more potent than ever. This bulwark is essentially frozen in time. Okay, not really, but pretty close. And the weaponized shields effect is also pretty intense. Gonna get a little closer and demolish them again. I don't really care for these upgrades though, so yeah, I'm gonna reroll. And get something like Elegant Construction. which actually benefits me and my turret. Okay, do not want to let these Spitfires get away, firing away those giant lances. Oh yeah, those bullets have been frozen considerably. So far right now, the slowdown bullets really don't serve too much of a purpose aside from being cool and granting me some extra grace time before they actually hit me. Really though, it's kind of a crutch for my inadequate reflexes. And by inadequate reflexes, I don't really mean it, because some people in the player base really do have some great reflexes. So it's really more of a case of them being really good than me being absolute trash. Granted, I will make a lot of blunders from time to time, especially when I lose focus. So if you want to see it that way, I guess it's fair to call me a trash player. Next up, we'll take War Machine, of course, and... okay, I don't really care for these upgrades either, so... you know what? Turret Specialist shall do. It shall make my turret rotate faster, and it lasts longer as well. Along with improved construction speed. It's hilarious how slowly these turrets are firing. I mean, Crucible's turrets. Their fire rate is pretty weak. It's weak enough that my turret could take it down, and soon the main boss follows its own turrets in their demise. Okay, let me get closer and destroy those guys. With that done, I can now pick up counter artillery. Oh. Well, that sucks. There goes my shield. With that done, I can now pick up Priority 0, because it will give me some interesting and useful upgrades like Overclock and Support Specialist. I'm gonna freeze them long enough that I can just fry them up. Oh, you guys are not gonna shield this guy. Whoops, wrong direction. That was kind of sketchy. But I've encountered way sketchier situations. Well, Juggernaut is pretty appealing. So, you know what? I'll take it. It's mainly for me being durable, more than it actually serving a purpose for the build itself. Well, time to fight the biggest sea dragon, space dragon, in Nova Drift. So far, at least. It is, of course, Glaucus. And so far, we're actually doing a decent amount of damage to him. Okay, he's taking a while to charge up his Vortex. Really gotta love that Jello. Unfortunately, my turret isn't doing enough damage as I hoped it would, because the head is facing away from the turret's bullets. Now I can do some actual damage. Now that the shield is back, this guy is in for a bad time. I just want those missiles to hit the beast itself. Okay, I do need to keep my distance, because... Okay. At least the Tempest Break Bolt did some damage. But now I gotta screen wrap around, because he's gonna fire those Venom Breath Strikes. And like that, Glaucus is toasted. I'll also be taking Absorption, because I do need to be more protected against the gyro guns. That is a really glowy Scion, but one that did not do much. Scion does take its sweet time actually initializing the attack. Well, these upgrades are whatever, so you know what? I'm gonna re-roll them around. And instead we'll take Candescence, which should buff up my Lance's DPS, and is one of the prerequisites for burnout reactors. Oh look, it's a spiral galaxy of hosts. Well, there goes my turret. Well, now we get access to shielded constructs. And now my turret has the big Jello. Once he gets point defense, he won't just have any Jello, he will be the Jello factory. Okay, took some decent damage there. And the turret himself is gone. Gotta retreat. And also gotta take advantage of priority 0. Gotta slow down that space calamari. Some very metallic space calamari. Uh-oh. Just in the nick of time, I destroyed the cherub. Very glowy Scion yet again. And once again, he did not get to fire out even a single volley. Well, there goes my turret again. And it's back, thanks to Priority 0 and segmented enemies. Uh-oh. Gotta slow down that juggernaut. This is not good. We have a full-speed Seraph. And a full-speed Seraph is one of the most dangerous enemies that you can encounter in Nova Drift. Okay, now it's slowed down. But I still shouldn't take him lightly. There we go. With that done, I can finally get my Jello factory up. And as expected, the Jello is much larger. Don't really care for these upgrades as well. Similar situation over here. And here. Okay, I'm running out of rerolls, and I don't like the looks of this. Well, overclock it is. Gonna stay close to my turret right now. That is a big-ass wall of bullets. And somehow we stood firm against that. Okay, he's definitely letting out at least a few volleys. Well, 4 volleys. I expected way more, though. Oh, look at that. We have the sick Warbringer. Oh no. There goes my turret. And it's back. Really gotta watch out for those mega mines that he deploys. Those things deal a lot of damage. Well, don't really like these upgrades as well. Or these ones. But I do appreciate Grandeur. I also appreciate Apex Machinery, Self-Destruction. For now, we're gonna stock up on the levels until we get a reroll. And then we'll try to fish around for burnout reactors. And, of course, support specialist. Once those upgrades are done, the build is complete. Really though, in terms of jelly factoriness, this build is pretty much complete. Apex Machinery, Tempest Break, Point Defense, Charge Shields, Weaponized Shields, it's all there. And I really don't want to specialize too much on the shield mods, because even though there technically are stuff like Omni Shield and Sanctuary, they're definitely not worth it. Gonna keep the shield, gonna keep the turret in the middle, and just let him take care of this situation. Like, he's got a lot of fire rate. He can easily terminate bullets. Okay, let's see how many... whoa, that is a lot of projectiles. Fortunately, I didn't take too much damage. This guy did intercept a decent number of them. Took down those hives pretty quickly as well. Well, there goes his shield. Well, I took a whole bunch of damage because of that meteor. And some shrapnel. I'll need to sit close to my turret again. Really gotta love it when I have a bodyguard turret on my side. So far this Dreadnought is stuck in Grape-Jello. And I really do think that this shade of purple is a solid example of grapefruit flavor. Dreadnought, meanwhile, he could be a hybrid of flavors like grape or peach, or maybe even strawberry. The game thought that Dreadnought would reappear again, but turns out he wouldn't. Appreciate that Dreadnought. Appreciate that my turret took down those saucers. I could have taken down myself, but whatever. I appreciate the help. This one, I definitely need my turret. Uh-oh. Gonna take care of the Spitfires while the turret goes for Eclipse, and never mind, he's already done with it and finished off those other enemies. Well, let me retreat, and look at that. That swarm of Pulthars just got shredded apart in just a couple of seconds. Uh-oh. Now I'm gonna have to deal with a dangerous Lunger. Or not. this turret really does have that firepower, doesn't he? Gonna try to make sure those Celestials get wiped out before my turret goes out. My turret is a Giga Chad, but he's not immortal or invincible. I am not letting this Celestial get away that easily. Celestials are pretty dangerous when you let them loose. Oh look, it's Crucible. Just gonna stick close to my turret and make Overclock go burr. That worked out pretty successfully, and now we can take care of this Spitfire and his escort. Oh boy, we have two sick boys. And one of them's already down. It's now time to fry some more scrab. With the crab down, I can take down more enemies again. Well, there goes his shields again. Shields, you better come back. Well, the turret himself went out. Gonna have to play the evasive game now. Unfortunately, the evasive game did not quite work out. Whew. I was actually pretty darn close to getting burnout reactors and support specialist. And that could have given me a build that may have gotten over 2 million. With that being said, my name is Excalibur Heavy Battlecruiser, and as always, may the forks be with you all.